My name is Austin Lake. I'm co-founder at Theophilus Health. I wanted to bring on Sam today because Sam was a recent client of ours who, for lack of a better word, was needing some help and I think has seen some pretty good progress in just a short period of time. So
hmm
Sam, can you kind of describe kind of why you started working with us and kind of the things you were struggling with before you came to see us?
hmm I was struggling with a lot of focus issues and ADD-esque. It's always been hard for me to concentrate, but I saw that issue being more magnified due to stress, and then just a lot of things. Now that I've talked to Dr. Lake about my diet and just realizing everything that pertains to my lack of focus. So it was focus issues. I struggle a lot with diarrhea, like all the time. I know it's gross, but it's true and it's
Real.
not
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest things. And just with the stress, a lot of just like anxiety and yeah, it all kind of went hand in hand together.
Yeah. So what kind of things were you trying previously? Because I know you were kind of doing some work, and a lot of these things do require like ongoing work, and there's like breakthroughs that happen, and then you kind of work on the next thing. So kind of describe what you were doing before you started working with me.
So I went vegan for 2 months. And I just cold turkey went vegan. I already didn't do dairy, but I had just completely cut out meat from my diet. And then also with the cutting out of the meat, I think introduced, I kind of had to eat a little bit more carbs than usual and grains. And so that's where I was at.
Yeah. And so what kind of progress are you seeing, or maybe lack thereof progress, to where you kind of felt like I needed to take an additional step?
Yeah, I wasn't the progress with being vegan
Yeah, or just kind of
or
like, yeah, I mean, yeah, like what kind of progress were you seeing with that, and or maybe
Mhm,
not the sufficient progress?
mhm. I definitely felt like a little lighter and less bloated with it, and I didn't really see any other yeah,
Okay. So
anything else pretty much. That was it. I felt good and yeah.
yeah. So now that I mean, I think again, we were kind of talking about this before we started. I think it's been about maybe 4.5 weeks now that we've kind of been working on some things. And you live in Florida, and I live in Colorado, so there's obviously like we've been trying to communicate electronically, and that's been working fine. But I think what kind of progress have you seen just in the last 4.5 weeks, just with making like some of the recommendations that I've made so far?
Mhm. So I've completely cut out gluten, grains, again, no dairy, and I have reintroduced animal products back, so eggs, a little bit more meat. I'm not still not eating a ton of meat. I just don't prefer it
Hmm.
sometimes, but starting my mornings off with protein. And so I have been seeing a lot of progress with focusing. Um, Honestly, the diarrhea was completely eliminated. Um, and yeah, I've been able to complete tasks that I wasn't able to complete. Like I would just get distracted. And now in addition to the diet, the regulations of, staying off your phone, more sleep, focusing on more sleep, and honestly, cutting out coffee. I think I was relying on coffee, maybe in an unhealthy way.
Hmm.
And you actually don't need coffee to function. Like it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have been doing matcha with almond milk, which is super great too.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so I've kind of like not like learning just you don't have to rely on these things that like we think we need or that the American diet tells us that we think we need. Um, yeah, and I think I've lost a little bit of weight too,
Yeah.
which
So
is
I think
always a plus.
one of the cool things that I love about just I guess my job is like I can never take full credit for anything, because like you guys are the ones that have to put the work in. You guys are the ones that have to believe in like what we're doing. And also like you come up with a lot of things by yourself. Like I kind of give you a framework, and then you go out and you like do your own work and figuring out what works best for you. Just like with the matcha and almond milk thing, like that was something that we never talked about. That's something that you kind of came up with that like I would be fully on board with you doing, and like love that you just like, we didn't talk about it, but you still did it on your own. It's like you did the work. And I think that's what we want to do at Theophilus, is really empower people to kind of figure out what that framework looks like for them individually. And then once you kind of develop that, you guys can have some room to play with and kind of like experiment and try new things, and like, and keep seeing progress. And if you're not seeing progress, then you get a hold of us, let us know, and then you can kind of keep moving forward. So yeah, I think it's really awesome. What would you tell people that are struggling with like the anxiety, struggling with like the bowel issues, like digestive problems, like lack of attention? What would you
Mhm.
tell them if they were kind of in a similar situation, whether it's like working with us or somebody else? Like, what would you tell those people?
Yeah, I actually just had this conversation with my friend the other day. Definitely like go see someone. Like we all, I feel like, and someone holistic and like what you guys believe in, because that's super important. And not everyone is going to steer you in the right direction. So you have to make sure that people's beliefs line up with yours, and yours does with mine. And I love your all's approach to everything. Um, and you're not going to put a band-aid on it. You're going to find the root of the problem. And the root of most health problems in, especially in the West, I feel is our diet. And food is medicine.
Yeah,
And knowing what your body needs or doesn't need, because all of our bodies are different. So I just love the holistic approach. And I've been eating healthy, for years, and I've always worked out, and I was a collegiate athlete, and so I've been super active. But just taking that next step to just better yourself and hearing it from someone else that
mhm,
you respect and knows more than you, is it takes it to another level, and
yeah,
helped me to take it more seriously than I have been.
yeah. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. One of the things that we always talk about is like you and I and everybody else in this world, for the most part, have equal access to all the information that we want, right? Like there's we can go Google pretty much anything, or DuckDuckGo, anything that you want to kind of find information. But the difference is, I think that
Mhm.
for a lot of people is it's not just about information. It's about applying the right information to you specifically, and then having somebody to kind of keep you accountable to it, kind of coach you through it, so that when you do run into walls, which you will, like you can kind of help them climb over that. And so I think just like you, just like with me, like I have business coaches, like I have my own coaches in my own life, because like I know that I have issues that I need to be coached through. And I think the problem, the common pitfall is that we think that we can do it like on our own island by ourselves. And that honestly is probably the worst thing, because it creates isolation, it creates more frustration, and it creates more of this barrier for seeing success, when like really it's not overly complicated. It just becomes confusing, and that confusion will create lack of compliance and lack of adherence to a program. And when really what we need is consistency and somebody to help coach us through it. So I think that speaks true for you, and I know it speaks true for me. So I hope people that are watching this, like they can resonate with that, because it really is applicable to, I think, everyone really in society. I don't think it really is isolated to certain people, but I think if you can kind of drop down the gates of defensiveness and maybe even pride, and kind of just see that like there's people that can help us in different ways, take that help and you can go a long, long way. So I think that's very true for you too, Sam. So I appreciate you doing this today. I know it was taking time out of your day, and I'm really thankful for that I get a chance to work with you. And yeah, thanks again. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you for all that you've done and helped me through.
Of course.